presentation of Jersey Shore Poconos was really fun, and it starts off with Operation Presentation. Mike is really determined that he's going to have full disclosure to Angelina and tell her all about the investigation that he did about the rumors that she was having an affair and was dropping chicken tenders on the ground outside of her alleged boyfriend's apartment in her old neighborhood. So everyone thinks this is a bad idea because the group has really gotten to become closer, they're more trusting, they're feeling good, they're having fun, and they don't want to ruin it by showing Angelina all that they did during the investigation. They know that Angelina doesn't like this kind of stuff with them interfering in her marriage, and they feel that even if she takes it well, she's going to eventually spin around and become angry or start some sort of argument with members of the group. But Mike insists he has to have full disclosure. He's going to do the presentation of the investigation. Mike says everybody's going to see the FBI board and the investigation when they go home, so they might as well have full disclosure with Angelina while they're in the Poconos. Deena is planning to have a birthday party for Jenny. Now, her birthday has already passed, but it was very recent, and so Deena says, we never have birthday parties. We need to celebrate this time with JWoww, and so we're going to have this birthday party. And Angelina says, hey, I want to give a speech. And so they decide that Angelina is going to give a speech, partly as revenge for the speech that JWoww gave at Angelina's wedding. Angelina practices a quote-unquote joke with her husband and says,
hysterical. Can I tell you one of my lines? Jenny, you claim you had TMJ surgery, girl, but we all know it was a mini facelift. Everything funny?
Yeah, that joke doesn't really sound funny, and it certainly is going to get a rise out of JWoww when she hears it at her birthday party. And I don't think that Angelina can make it funny, as Chris suggested. In the meantime, so that the original cast members can have a dinner and discuss the investigation, have full disclosure with Angelina, show her the FBI board and all, and be able to ask questions of Angelina, the dinners are going to be separate. The original cast members are going to have dinner together and do their discussion, and the partners of the cast members are going to have dinner together and just talk about what it's like being with an original cast member and just meet and casually talk with each other and become closer without the interference of their partners. Angelina doesn't particularly like this idea. She's skeptical. She says, well, what about Chris? What's he going to do? And Lauren says, Chris will be safe. He's going to be with us. Angelina is very skeptical and eyes Lauren. She feels Lauren is a bit too nosy and a bit intrusive and always trying to snoop into their marriage. So she doesn't trust what Lauren's going to ask Chris, and she doesn't trust what Chris is going to say in response to Lauren's questions. But the dinners are set, and Chris is going to be eating with the other partners of the original castmates. At the significant other dinner, Lauren talks about how being married to Mike has interfered with her relationships. She says,
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like being a significant other of somebody in the public eye, it takes a while to find your groove in it. You need to find what works for you. And for me, we've established our home because it's our safe space. Because when we go, we went to my mom's 60th birthday this past summer. I have one picture with Mike from the entire night because everybody was grabbing him for pictures.
Deena's husband, Chris, says that when they're away from the filming, they really don't even think about the show, and they're just like a regular couple. Zach says it doesn't bother him, and that he doesn't let the show interfere with his relationship with Jenny. But of course, Zach is a performer and in the wrestling world, so he's used to cameras, publicity, and crowds. Nikki says she's been dating Paulie for a while, and they're in a comfortable relationship. Of course, she met Paulie on that dating show, and so her situation is very different. Angelina's husband, Chris, says he's known Angelina for a very long time, and that they were involved in a relationship before she even got seriously into the Jersey Shore show, and that they were in a very serious relationship when she was studying to be an EMT. So their relationship is long-term and very solid. And that's one of the things that the group forgets, is that Angelina and Chris are still involved with their old friends, the neighborhood that they grew up in, and they have a lot of old connections. So Angelina has a lot of friends, both male and female, from her years of growing up in Jersey. Ronnie's girlfriend, Sapphire, was not at the dinner because she claimed she was feeling sick. She had abdominal discomfort and stated she wanted to skip the significant other dinner. Next, we hear from Vinny. He is so happy that they're going to dinner with the original cast members. They don't have to deal with significant others. He will not feel like the lone man out because he doesn't have a partner, and he's not going to be the side piece for Paulie because Nikki's going to be at the significant other dinner. Vinny is elated. Then we switch back to the significant others dinner, and Angelina's husband Chris is telling a story about how Angelina is so easily recognizable in public that it's impossible for them to go to a lot of places because even if she's in a hoodie and has sunglasses on and so forth, people still recognize her and bombard her. So he said, if it weren't for the show, he said, we would still have a regular family and we would be having our kids and it would be just a normal life. And Zach says, do you wish it was that way and not with all of this stuff with the show? Chris says, in a way, yes, and in a way, no. He says he likes the money and so forth that the show brings, but it does have its drawbacks.
Do you almost wish that it was like it was before? You know what?
It's a good question.
Yeah, sometimes I do think that, though. Almost like, without the fame, without the money, it would be maybe a little easier. I didn't sign up for the fame, fortune, or whatever. I signed up for just real love with Angelina.
Chris says during his last fight with Angelina, he missed her, she missed him, and so they reunited, and things have been going well since then. Then we go back to the dinner with the original castmates, and Mike is saying to Angelina that Chris really loves Angelina, and they need to work on their marriage and make sure that it works. Jenny brings up the incident where Chris and two other guys and a girl around age 22 went to a hotel room and stayed in the hotel room for about 11 hours and 20 minutes. Angelina knew where he was because she had put a GPS tracker on Chris's car. Jenny says, did you ever find the girl? Angelina says no. And she says, well, Chris says that Chris and one of the guys slept in one bed, and in the other bed was the girl and the other guy. And she believes him, and she's willing to not investigate that more. Everybody's a little skeptical about that and feels that that doesn't sound like a likely story. But again, Angelina's relationship has been very long-term, and they are much more secure with each other and don't find it's beneficial to really investigate these things too thoroughly. But she does have a GPS tracker, so that says something. Chris says he and Angelina feel that their relationship is good and that they are better with each other than without each other. Angelina is a bit more skeptical because she's afraid that after the Poconos trip and they go back home, that their problems might start back up again. The group feels that Angelina and Chris need to keep their relationship more private and not put all of their dirty laundry out on the streets via social media, and that if they stay off social media and don't argue on social media, that their relationship will be much better and they won't have all of this interference in their marriage. Now the group turns their attention to Mike and the presentation. Mike is obsessed with this investigation. He wants to do the presentation. He wants full disclosure, and everybody's against it. Vinny says he's also against it. He says, but he's just there for support. So Mike reviews Angelina's life. He starts with the marriage, and then Angelina goes and gets butt injections to plump up her butt, and then they're in the blogs, and there's a lot of chaos, and then Angelina unfollows Chris, her husband, and then there were rumors of Angelina and Chris getting a divorce, and Angelina just finds all of this nonsense and the snooping into her marriage hilarious, and she's falling out laughing, and the group is looking at her wondering, why is she laughing? Because Mike takes it so serious. As Mike is ending his presentation, he says there is one more thing he wants to show Angelina. He says they have a special guest, and he says they have the side piece. And he yells, bring out the side piece. Out comes Ginny, and they all start laughing. After having pizza for the cast dinner, the cast members move on to another room where they're served ice cream, cake, and other junk foods. And they invite their significant others to join them. When Angelina's husband, Chris, comes into the room, she's obsessed with knowing what did he talk about at the significant other's dinner. And she repeatedly says, what did you talk about? What did you talk about? Are you drunk? What did you talk about? Chris tells Angelina he can't remember what questions were asked or what they talked about because he's been drinking a lot, and he just can't remember, but he says he didn't say anything bad. And then Angelina goes to Lauren and asks, what did you talk about? Did you talk about us? Did you talk about anything bad? And Lauren says, no, everything was good. We had a nice conversation. And she says they didn't talk badly about Angelina and Chris's marriage. So the night ends well. Everybody's happy. Mike is happy with his investigation and the dinner, and they all go to their separate rooms. Angelina, however, is still worried. What did Lauren ask? How did things go during the significant other dinner?
Lauren asked my husband about me. She really liked asking a lot of questions.
Not really. I think you have to be honest. I don't think it's bad, though.
Lauren is so nosy. It's funny.
Next, we go to Vinny, who's wondering what can he do or what can he give Jenny for her birthday at the birthday party they're planning. And he decides that the best thing he can do is probably perform in some way because he likes to do all kinds of tricks. And he says he will do a talent presentation for Jenny, and that would be the best gift he can give her. Then it evolves, and as he's talking, he suddenly has everybody involved in this talent show. And so it looks like there's going to be a talent show presentation at Jenny's birthday celebration party. So the next day is the day of Jenny's birthday party, and Deena has invited Nicole to come and to surprise Jenny at the party. The plan is for them to sneak Nicole into the building and then hide her in a room. She'll then get into a wooden cake, and they'll roll the cake into the party, and Nicole will jump out and say, surprise. Well, that all sounds good, and the problem is Deena is pregnant, and she can't do anything strenuous. So Deena says she will play as if she's feeling ill. When they have the dinner, Deena will get up, go to the bathroom, and she'll take her husband with her, and then he will help roll Nicole into the party. The problem is when Deena gets up to go to the bathroom, she forgets to take her husband, and her husband does not follow her. So he remains at the table eating, and she goes off to see Nicole in this separate room by herself. So after she gets there, she realizes she can't go back and get her husband because that would look like she has something fishy going on. So she's trying to figure out she has to get Nicole into the fake cake, and then the problem is how is she going to push it? Because it's way too heavy, because it's a big wooden cake. So she says, forget it, I'm breaking the fourth wall, I'm calling the audio guy for the show, and he's going to help me push this in because I can't do it myself. So Nicole's in the cake, the audio guy is pushing the cake into the birthday party room, and everybody knows something's up because it certainly looks like a fake cake. And Deena makes a small statement, and then, surprise, Nicole jumps out, and she has a bottle of champagne in each hand. And that's the end of this episode. So Angelina is really obsessed with asking Chris what was asked by Lauren at the significant other's dinner, and she wants to know, did she ask about our sex life? Did she ask about our arguments? She said Chris couldn't remember. Chris said nothing really bad was said, and they did a recount of what happened, and it was surprising how many questions Lauren asked Chris about his marriage to Angelina. So in the end, Angelina says, well, they just have to stop sticking their nose in our business because this is our marriage, not yours, and they have to just kind of not be so nosy. As everybody's getting ready to go down to the birthday dinner, Angelina and Chris start fighting because she's in the bathroom getting ready, putting on her makeup and so forth, and Chris has to go to the bathroom. Angelina complains he must have irritable bowel syndrome because he's going to the bathroom too frequently and he stinks up the place. She won't let him in. Chris says he really has to go. He has to go right away. Angelina refuses. So Chris goes into the adjoining room where Paulie D and Nikki are staying and asks if he can use their bathroom. Paulie says no, the toilet is stopped up. Of course, that's a lie. He just didn't want Chris to use his bathroom to take a poop. So Chris and Angelina are now in Paulie D's room, and they're arguing about Chris having to go to the bathroom so frequently and stinking it up. And Chris, quite smartly, spins around and dashes into the bathroom and says, while you're in here arguing, I'm going to go into the bathroom. And he closes the door, locks Angelina out, and Angelina whips around and realizes she's been had and now wants to get into the bathroom and argue some more with Chris. But Chris has already landed and he's relieving himself in the bathroom. He must get up and unlock the door because Angelina comes in and she's complaining and she's leaving the door open and the cameraman is taking pictures of Chris on the toilet. Chris is saying, close the door. And Angelina says, no, she's arguing. She wants to humiliate Chris. And after going in and out a couple of times, she finally leaves. Chris says, close the door. And she says no, but she does turn off the light. And I guess that's how he gets out of the bathroom with more scenes of him on the toilet.
And I know he's so good at popping out of the cake. And so I'm like, yeah,